Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and in today's video, I want to go ahead and dive into some longer-term technical analysis and discuss why this Bitcoin bull market is going to absolutely dwarf the previous one. Guys, here in the first couple of months of this Bitcoin bull market, Bitcoin has already rallied 250% or more, depending on where you measure from. We're already over half of the way back to $20,000. So where exactly could we go in this Bitcoin bull market, and why is it going to be so much more powerful than the one that we saw in 2017? Well, guys, we've got a lot of things that we want to look at here in today's video, so we're going to go ahead and dive right on into it. Before we do, though, I do want to remind you that we are still running that sale on the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. There's a link in the description down below that you can follow and use the coupon code July2019 to get $40 off. Either way, guys, without much further ado, go ahead and hit that like button, and then we're going to go ahead and get right on into it. The first thing I want to start out by doing here, guys, is a little bit of shorter-term technical analysis, and then we're going to dive into the longer-term stuff. So if you're only interested in the longer-term stuff, you can skip forward a couple of minutes here. But to start with, I do want to go ahead and look at what exactly Bitcoin has done here over the last couple of days. As you guys know, Bitcoin rallied all the way to $14,000, and we've been in a downtrend ever since then. Yesterday, we did look at this consolidation pattern right here, and I was talking about how it was probably going to break a bullish out of it. In that video, we did see a bullish breakout, but Bitcoin would go to trade sideways for another several hours before we officially finally had our bullish breakout. As you guys could see, this consolidation pattern was just below another level of resistance at about 11.5. So Bitcoin had to break a bullish and trade sideways here for a little longer. You could actually go ahead and redraw these trend lines to show that this still was in some kind of consolidation pattern, albeit a very, very long-term one. But Bitcoin did eventually have that major bullish breakout that I was looking for in yesterday's video. From there, Bitcoin retraced down to around 11.5 and then bounced. But the point here is, guys, is that even though Bitcoin has done all of this, Bitcoin is still in a 4-hourly, daily chart, however you want to look at it, downtrend. Bitcoin is still well and truly in a downtrend. The reason for that is because Bitcoin has a top right there, a lower top, and for right now anyway, Bitcoin still has another lower top at $12,000. We also have a bottom and a lower bottom down there. Guys, I am bullish on Bitcoin. I think a 30% retracement is pretty healthy for Bitcoin, but with that said, I do think Bitcoin is going to need to give us some more confirmations before we can go ahead and finally agree that we're out of this downtrend. The first thing that we need to see happen is for Bitcoin to get above $12,200 right here so that we can get above this level of resistance right there. After we do that, then Bitcoin will set a new high in motion, and then we can start talking about a new uptrend. Until then, I'm not buying any Bitcoin. I'm not touching any Bitcoin. I'm not putting any longs into Bitcoin. I'm not trading Bitcoin until I get confirmation that we are in an uptrend again. Bitcoin is very close to it, and it's probably going to happen within the next couple of days. If Bitcoin does get above this, it's very likely that we're going back to this high up here of around 14,000 and higher. But if we don't get confirmation of it, we're probably going to come down here and test this bottom again, and considering we're still in a downtrend, if we don't get above this level right here, then we're probably going to go even lower, down to maybe $9,200. Definitely a big decision point coming up for Bitcoin. You guys are going to want to keep a close eye on that because Bitcoin really could go either way right now. You're going to want to keep an eye on that. Anyway, guys, there's not a whole lot that I wanted to discuss on the short-term time frame, so let's go ahead and zoom out and talk about some more macro stuff and why I think that this Bitcoin bull market is going to be drastically larger than anything we've seen in the past. And what I mean by that, because I want to define our terms, is not necessarily percentage gains. The last Bitcoin bull market was a 10,000% rally. That is absurd. That is gigantic. I don't think we're necessarily going to do that again because that would see Bitcoin going to over $300,000. I do think we are going to go over $100,000, going to over $330,000 is definitely pushing it for one bull market. That being said, as far as price action is concerned, as far as the actual market capitalization is concerned, as far as adoption is concerned, this is going to be the biggest bull market in the history of Bitcoin, bar none, hands down, far and away. It's going to completely blow 2017 and 2016 out of the water. And let me explain to you exactly why, because it's actually pretty simple. Guys, Bitcoin has rallied a very, very large amount here in the last several months. Bitcoin's rallied 336% from the bottom down here when we started this rally on February the 6th of 2019. Bitcoin has had a gigantic rally, but that's kind of interesting that we've seen a massive rally because if you start looking at things like Bitcoin trends, or excuse me, Google trends with the keyword Bitcoin over here, you'll find that Bitcoin actually doesn't have a whole lot of interest right now. If you guys don't know how Google trends work, essentially what this is it's a way to do it's a way to find data on SEO or keywords like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a keyword. You type it into Google, and this basically tracks how many people type it into Google, the interest over time. As you guys can see here, Bitcoin had 100% of its interest right here on December 17th through December 23rd, 2017, which makes sense because Bitcoin was hitting its all-time high right back then. Right over here on December the 17th, Bitcoin hit all-time high. So we had the most interest right around the time that Bitcoin was hitting all-time high. Well, check out where we are right now, guys. Bitcoin is only about 23%, even a bit lower, only about 14% of the way back to its all-time high of interest in Google Trends, and we haven't even barely begun this bull market yet, guys. Bitcoin is already over half of the way back to $20,000, and Google Trends are showing that we've got basically no interest in Bitcoin compared to what we saw at the end of 2017. We're pretty comparable to halfway through 2017, but we've already done all of this. We've done all of this, and we've barely had any more interest spike in Bitcoin on Google Trends. That is very, very, very much predicting something, because if Bitcoin does have the interest return up to where it was at the end of 2017, which I think it most certainly will, then Bitcoin is going to go on a gigantic run. The point I'm trying to make here, and the point that we're going to be making in this video, is that Bitcoin has already made a huge leap forward for its bull market, and we are basically doing that with the people that were already in the space. That means that the vast majority of the gains that are going to come, they're probably not going to be from the people that were already in the space, because the people that were already in the space were only able to push up to $20,000. We're going to need to have new adoption, which we're going to talk about. And we haven't even seen that yet, but Bitcoin has already done extraordinary things. And the fact that Bitcoin has rallied like 3.5 times or more here is very, very evident on the chart. But it's interesting how I don't think the number of people in the cryptocurrency space has rallied 3.5 times. I'm going to go ahead and show you the statistics on a couple of different YouTube channels. One on mine, this is Social Blade. You can come see the statistics of my YouTube channel and many others. By the way, whenever I talk about Social Blade, people look at these estimates. These are completely and utterly wrong. They're just estimates. I have the real numbers, of course. But either way, as we can see here, in the last couple of months, the views on the channel here have jumped a little bit. We had 231,000 last month. We've had about 210 this month or so. The subscriber growth has jumped a little bit, but overall, we haven't had a 3.5 times growth in the number of people watching my channel, or the 3.5 times growth in the number of people that are subscribing to the channel. In fact, I had just as many people subscribing to the channel and watching the videos halfway through the last bear market. And that's not just my channel either. If we look at Carl from the Moon, great guy, by the way, you should go watch his videos as well. He's had a little bit of a spike here. He's doing about 600 to 800,000 views a month, but that's not a whole lot more than what he was doing before the Bitcoin bull market started. Same thing with Sonny Decree over here. He's had a little bit of a spike in his viewership. He's had about I think he had a million view a month over here, but he really hasn't had the kind of growth that Bitcoin has had. Bitcoin has grown, like I said, 3.5 times, but the people watching YouTube, which I think is a pretty good reflection of the number of people in the space, has barely grown at all. It's grown a little bit, guys. I mean, I had 666 of you guys join the channel in one day a little while ago. We wouldn't have had that happen in the bear market. There is growth, and there are new people coming into the space. Tell us in the comment section down below if you're one of them, but it's nothing compared to how far Bitcoin is rallying. And guys, I think the big reason for that is because people saw what happened in 2016 and 2017. They weren't in the space, but they were spectators. They watched Bitcoin rally from $200 to $20,000. They watched people around them get rich as heck. They saw people make so much money. They saw people go and buy Lambos and champagne corks, and they bought the champagne cork without champagne. Guys, they saw people get rich. They saw people make a crap ton of money, and now they want in. There is history, there is precedent to show what Bitcoin can do now. In 2016 and 17, there really wasn't. Bitcoin rallied up to, great, $1,200. It had a couple dozen billion dollars in market capitalization. It just wasn't that big of a deal. But Bitcoin running from $200 to $20,000, that was plastered everywhere. That was all over mainstream media. Ellen was talking about it. There were a bunch of, I think Dude Perfect made a video about Bitcoin. They have like 40 million subscribers at the time. Everybody started hearing about Bitcoin at the end of 2017. But at the end of 2017, it was too late. You wanted to hear about Bitcoin at the beginning of 2015. That's when you wanted to start getting into Bitcoin. And I think a lot of people are realizing that, hey, this is the second opportunity. This is the second chance. So while there are still some people coming into the space, a lot of this is being driven by people that were already in the space, or people that noticed the space and were too late to actually make any gains, and now they want to come back in. And guys, this is a very important component of the two things I want to talk about in this video. Because the other thing I want to talk about is adoption and the way that the last Bitcoin bear market and bull market cycle played out. Guys, during the last bear market back over here in 2014, Mt. Gox was hacked. A colossal amount of the Bitcoin in circulation vanished. A lot of it was recovered, but a lot of it vanished. It was a huge hack. It had massive, massive ramifications on the Bitcoin space and the cryptocurrency industry. If you know anything about that hack, you know exactly how important that was. Bitcoin suffered, and it suffered hard from Mt. Gox going down. It still suffers for some people who still haven't gotten their money back. Mt. Gox was huge, and it colored this entire bear market, and it actually continued to color this entire bull market. Now that it's been 5 years or so, we can finally start losing. We don't have the effects of Mt. Gox as much anymore as as we used to. And Bitcoin is finally kind of broken free from the damage that was done from that, because we have all these other exchanges and all these other methods of trading Bitcoin, all these other fiat to cryptocurrency gateways. Mt. Gox is no longer a monopoly. In fact, Mt. Gox no longer even exists. And in 2018, guys, there wasn't a major bearish news story that colored the bear market like Mt. Gox did in the previous bear market. All we had was a bear market, guys. All this was a 1.5-year correction. That's all it was. It was a bear market, but there wasn't any major fundamental development that caused it. The only thing that caused it was that Bitcoin got overextended and Bitcoin needed some correction. That's all that happened. That's perfectly healthy. Nothing is wrong with that. So basically all we saw, guys, was kind of a bull flag here. We saw this run up. We saw a little bit of a bull flag out here on the daily chart, and now we're going to keep running again. That's all it was. It was just a short-term correction. I know 1.5 years isn't very short-term for most of you guys, but it is. That's exactly what it was. It was a short-term correction. And guess what? The reason why this bull market is going to be drastically larger than the ones that we've seen in the past is because now Bitcoin has proven what it can do. The run up to 2017's all-time high and the last 6 months of 2017 proved to the world that Bitcoin is a force to be reckoned with. It proved to the world that cryptocurrency is not something that can be ignored. It's something that has to be embraced and utilized by people who want the advantages that it brings, or they're going to get left behind. Bitcoin is going to make massive changes in the world, and if people don't get on board with that, 2017 proved that Bitcoin is going to force them to get off the ship, and the people that are able to take advantage of it are the ones that are going to reap the rewards. So combine the massive amount of gains that we've already seen in Bitcoin when barely anyone has entered the space compared to what is going to happen over the next couple of years. Combine that with the ever-growing bullish fundamentals on Bitcoin, the fact that Bitcoin is still massively undervalued. There's a congressional report talking about Bitcoin adoption, calling it minuscule compared to traditional finance, which is the absolute truth. I've talked about that in the past. Bitcoin is minuscule, it's tiny, it's incomprehensibly small compared to traditional finance markets. It is puny. Bitcoin is tiny. It has a very long way to run. Even though it's nearly $1 trillion market when it's up at all-time high, it's still infinitesimally small compared to the rest of the market. So compare the amount of people that have not entered the space yet, that are going to enter the space, compare that to the number of institutions that are always stepping into the space, the bullish fundamentals that are always increasing, the ever-growing trend of Bitcoin moving to the upside, the fact that Bitcoin is tiny compared to traditional finance markets, and you have the perfect storm for a gigantic bull run. And I've talked about in the past where I think that bull run is going to take us. I think it's going to take us well above $150,000. We're not going to $1 million in this bull market. I'd be pretty confident on that. But I do think we're going to find ourselves rallying to somewhere between $150,000 and $300,000, something like that, guys. Like I said, I've talked about that in the past. The point I'm trying to make in this video is that this bull market is going to be huge. And guys, this Bitcoin bull market is going to be huge because people are starting to finally wake up and understand. After 10 years of Bitcoin being in its infant stage, people are starting to realize what Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are capable of. They're starting to understand how they can revolutionize the world, how they can help countries like Venezuela who have had their currencies destroyed by incompetent governments. They're starting to realize that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and projects like XRP, for example, can start to help businesses actually make transactions without having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on every transaction in international fees. They're starting to realize all these things that Bitcoin and blockchains and cryptocurrencies can do. It's a massive technology. It's going to do a lot of good for the world, and people are starting to wake up to that, and they're starting to buy Bitcoin because they want to invest in that. There's a lot of buying pressure that's already been put on Bitcoin, and there's going to be a whole lot more of these next several years. If you're not in Bitcoin already, you probably should be. If you're watching this video, you probably are, but if you're not in Bitcoin and you're considering whether or not you should be, honestly, guys, this is not financial advice. Don't sue me if you make a mistake. Don't sue me if Bitcoin does something that none of us expected. I'm joking, of course, although I am serious about the not suing thing. I do think that it is a good idea to be in Bitcoin. And guys, with that said, that is why I created the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. I'm going to be pretty brief in this, but about a year ago, on September 23rd of 2018, I launched the Cryptocurrency Technical Analysis Academy. Ever since then, I've had 700 people nearly go through this course and say that the contents in here have helped them to learn how to trade these markets, how to invest in these markets, and most importantly, how to profit in these markets. If you guys are interested in learning about cryptocurrency markets and learning how to actually work in these markets, how to profit these markets, and learning all the subtle details that you are not going to learn if you just watch a bunch of YouTube videos. This is the kind of stuff that I had to learn from trial and error and from doing technical analysis every single day for 2 years. Stuff like how to plan and execute profitable trades. You'll see some of this on YouTube. A lot of this you're not going to see anywhere else. Stuff like gut feeling. I've never seen anyone talk about this in the past, ever. Math psychology, this is stuff that's talked about a little bit. It's still very important. All of this stuff down here that I don't talk about as much. The convergent, gauging the strength of support and resistance, that's a very important concept. Gauging the strength of the bulls and the bears, another very important concept. A lot of times people just just chalk up the bulls and the bears to be the same strength, and that's never the case. The convergence of support and resistance, also very important. Short and long-term technical analysis and how those converge and clash. Very important stuff, guys. It's important that as Bitcoin goes on this massive bull market that we're talking about, that you know how to trade these markets and how to invest in these markets so that you can then profit in these markets. An opportunity like this doesn't come around every day. Bitcoin's going to be wildly profitable for the next few years, but you need to make sure that you're making the most out of it for yourself and for your family. So if you guys are interested in learning how to trade these markets, I highly recommend checking out CT2A. The link is in the description. You can use the coupon code July2019 to get $40 off. Anyway, guys, I do hope you did enjoy today's video, and I do hope you enjoy what you are doing in Bitcoin. I hope you're having a lot of fun in the cryptocurrency market, guys. It's not all about making money. It is about fun and games every once in a while. It is about enjoying your time here. I love the cryptocurrency community and all the memes that have abounded the cryptocurrency community for so long. By the way, speaking of memes, if you guys haven't already, I haven't plugged the Discord server in like 6 months. If you want to join our community over on Discord, we still have a couple thousand people over there. You can check the link in the description down below. There's always a link to join our Discord server. I want to see the meme competition folder or the channel over there just blow up with the memes. I need you guys to bring me the hottest cryptocurrency memes. I need them for a coming project. I will tell you about that in the future. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for today's video. I do want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.